car screeches to a halt, the sickening impact leaving a vibrant young woman lifeless on the asphalt. As Valeria's parents stand helplessly by her hospital bed, the prognosis is grim. Hope fading with each ticking second. Desperate and broken, her mother turns to a saint for solace and guidance, igniting a desperate pilgrimage to the tomb of Carlo Acutis. But can a journey of faith truly summon a miracle to save her daughter's life? Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know in the comments where you're listening from. The city of Florence de San Carlos, Costa Rica, lay under the gentle embrace of the morning sun as Valeria Valverde, a vibrant 21-year-old with dreams as bright as her smile, walked to her university. Students bustled around her, laughter and chatter filling the air, while she animatedly shared stories with her friends. She was studying biology, her eyes sparkling with ambition, envisioning a future where she would make a difference in the world. As Valeria crossed the street, the world around her seemed to slow. In a split second, a car careened around the corner, tires screeching as it lost control. The chaos of metal against flesh erupted, leaving Valeria sprawled on the asphalt, her body lifeless and still. Flashing lights filled the scene, a cacophony of sirens blending with the gasps of horrified bystanders. Back at the hospital, the sterile white walls felt like a prison to Eduardo and Liliana Valverde. The monitors beeped a rhythmic, haunting melody that echoed the despair creeping into their hearts. Liliana clutched Valeria's small image of Carlo Acutis tightly in her hand, a symbol of her unwavering faith that had guided their family for years. The beaming face of Carlo, a young saint who had touched the lives of many, offered her a flicker of hope amidst the looming darkness. But hope was becoming harder to grasp with every passing minute. Eduardo sat in the corner of the room, his face pale and drawn, eyes locked onto his daughter's still form. The doctor had delivered grim news: a severe traumatic brain injury, prognosis poor, and the chances of recovery minimal. With each word from the doctor, Eduardo felt as if the ground beneath him was crumbling away. He exchanged a glance with Liliana, who had tears streaming down her face, her sobs quietly punctuating the silence. The emotional turmoil between them was palpable, caught in a loop of despair and disbelief. Days turned into nights, and each moment was filled with an aching uncertainty. They spent long hours at Valeria's bedside, filling the hospital room with their whispered prayers and quiet cries for divine intervention. Each update from the medical team dragged them deeper into despair. Liliana, a retired nurse, understood the gravity of the situation, but found herself caught between her knowledge of medicine and her faith in the miraculous. "I can't lose her, Eduardo. I can't," Liliana whispered one night, her voice shaking as she looked at her daughter, her heart breaking for the vibrant young woman who once filled their lives with joy. Her thoughts, however, reached for the promise found in faith. The determination to believe in miracles flickered within her, feeding off the sacred stories of those who had experienced divine intercession. It was during a late-night prayer that Liliana first heard Carlo Acutis' name. The soft glow of the television illuminated their small apartment, a flickering beacon of comfort in the shadows of grief. A program about miracles and saints played, and Carlo's tale captivated her. His young life was a testament to faith, a beacon of hope for those in despair. Inspired by his story, Liliana felt a stirring in her heart. There had to be more than what the doctors were offering. Each day they found new strength, fueled by relentless worry and a mother's boundless love. Eduardo stood resolute, but the burden he carried was heavy. As Liliana's faith grew, so did her desperation. She began to organize her thoughts, strategies shifting towards a journey she felt she had to take, to Assisi, where Carlo's tomb awaited her desperate plea. "Liliana, it's a journey," Eduardo cautioned, his brow furrowed. What if we do nothing? What if I don't go?" she interrupted, her voice fierce and resolute. "I need to ask him for a miracle." "What if?" Her voice softened. What if this is our only chance? Days later, the family gathered to say their goodbyes as Liliana prepared for her pilgrimage. Eduardo wrapped his arms around her, pulling her close. "You must be careful," he whispered, concern etched into every line of his face. "I will be," she assured him, clutching the small image of Carlo tightly, her heart beating with a mixture of fear and hope. In that moment, she felt the weight of a mother's love and a flicker of divine purpose propelling her forward. As she boarded the plane, the air buzzed with unspoken worry cloaked in hope. "Carlo," she thought silently, "you've brought solace to so many others. Please, I need a change. My daughter needs a miracle." With every passing moment, Valeria's condition lingered on her mind like a dark cloud hovering above her family. The love between them fought fiercely against the despair gripping their hearts, but even the strongest love, tested against the harsh realities of life, could not shield them from the pain they felt as they waited. Liliana's journey to Assisi was not merely a physical one. It was a journey of the heart, one that would lead her to confront the depths of her despair and illuminate a path toward faith. Would she find solace at Carlo's tomb? Would she dare to believe in the impossible? The answers lay ahead, intertwined with whispers of hope and the promise of the miraculous. The hospital's fluorescent lights flickered mercilessly, casting a harsh glare on the stark white walls that enclosed Valeria's room. Liliana arrived each morning clutching the small image of Carlo Acutis, her anchor to hope. As she entered, she was met with the sight of her daughter, pale, still, and connected to a tangle of wires and tubes. Each visit felt like a heavy burden as she leaned over Valeria, brushing the young woman's hair from her forehead, whispering promises of a miracle even when doubt threatened to drown her. Eduardo struggled to maintain his composure. Every day he would arrive early, hoping for a sign, a change, anything that could lift the weight of despair pressing down on their family. He often found himself pacing the hospital corridor, counting the seconds that seemed to stretch into eternity. He would glance up at the clock every few minutes, measuring the passage of time that felt agonizingly slow. A world without Valeria was a world he was unwilling to accept, yet the doctor's clinical assessments haunted his thoughts. "Her brain pressure is rising. We need to monitor her closely," the doctors told him one afternoon. Those words hammered into his heart, echoing endlessly as he returned to the room. Liliana looked up expectantly, and he could not bear to share the grim news. Instead, he forced a weak smile and pretended there was hope. Days turned into weeks, and each moment in the hospital stretched longer than the last. While Eduardo tried to remain strong, Liliana often crumbled, her quiet sobs breaking the heavy silence in the sterile room. The couple found themselves caught in a tempest of emotions, each sustaining their faith while grappling with their doubts. Liliana's heart ached as the reality of their situation set in. "Do you think she can hear us?" Liliana would ask, her voice trembling. The uncertainty of Valeria's consciousness weighed heavily on her. The thought made Eduardo ache, but he responded firmly, "Yes, I believe she can. We need to talk to her. She needs to know we're here." Each afternoon, they took turns recounting stories from Valeria's life. Her laughter, her vivid dreams of becoming a scientist, her jokes that could light up any room. They spoke of her friends who were praying, their voices carrying across the miles, all praying for a miracle that felt increasingly out of reach. They even shared the last picture they captured of her, sun-kissed and radiant, holding tightly to a bouquet of wildflowers on her birthday just weeks before the accident. Despite the pain of each memory, there was solace in their shared recollections. Liliana closed her eyes at times, imagining Valeria smiling back at them, urging them to keep believing. But as the nights grew longer, doubt began to gnaw at her faith, a creeping unease that whispered dark thoughts. What if there was no miracle? What if they were simply waiting for an end? Those thoughts haunted her constantly, with periods of restless sleep broken by nightmares that felt all too real. She often wandered the hospital hallways searching for solace, In one of those moments, she stumbled upon a chapel corner, tucked away from the bright lights of the hospital. The flickering candles offered warmth, and as she knelt before the altar, Liliana poured out her heart. Prayers interwoven with tears fell like rain onto the wooden floor. "Please, Carlo Acutis, give me a sign," she begged, desperate for even the faintest flicker of hope to guide her weary heart. The shadows danced on the walls as if the very presence of divine grace was comforting her broken spirit. In those quiet hours, Eduardo would sit in the hospital cafeteria, nursing bitter coffee, exchanging solemn words with others caught in similar battles. He found unexpected strength in their shared stories, but the burdens on his heart remained heavy. Meanwhile, a constant stream of family and friends visited, bringing meals, offering prayers, but nothing could replace the feeling of despair that gripped him tightly each time he left Valeria's side. One evening, Liliana felt a deep sense of urgency bubbling inside her, a whisper she couldn't ignore. "Eduardo, I need to go to Assisi. I need to pray at Carlo's tomb," she announced suddenly, surprising him. Her voice was steady, yet the flicker of uncertainty lingered in her eyes. "It's a long way, and we don't even know if it will change anything. You heard what the doctors said. We have to try. What if I can bring back a sense of hope? What if our prayers at his resting place can reach Valeria?" The thought was both terrifying and exhilarating. The enormity of her mission felt daunting, but amidst the darkness, Liliana found a flicker of light. The family needed a path that veered away from despair. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting shadows in the hospital room, she resolved to begin planning her journey. She could almost hear Valeria telling her to go, to seek out the miraculous that surrounded them. She would find strength in the faithful tales of Carlo Acutis. He had inspired thousands in his short life to trust in God's grace. With renewed energy, Liliana pored over maps and travel details, her heart pulsating in rhythm with a prayer. She would ask for a miracle on behalf of her daughter. Eduardo watched in awe as her faith ignited fire in her eyes, a fierce determination taking root once again. "Let's just focus on today," he reminded her softly. Their world could not be solved overnight, but hope could blossom even in the shadow of uncertainty. For each breath Valeria took, they would believe. As Liliana sank into her nightly prayers, she felt something shift deep within her, a gentle stirring of courage wrapped in love. Would this pilgrimage lead to a miracle? The answers whipped through her heart like notes in a haunting melody, slowly guiding her toward a light she was beginning to believe in once more. The sun began to rise over Assisi, painting the sky in vibrant hues of orange and pink as Liliana stood before the tomb of Carlo Acutis, heart racing with a tumultuous mix of hope and dread. The morning air was charged with a palpable energy, as if the very atmosphere held the weight of countless prayers. Kneeling at the sacred site, she felt a connection to others who had come before her, each seeking solace, miracles, and a path forward through despair. As Liliana lowered herself to her knees, she glanced around the chapel, taking in the beauty of the mosaics and the serenity of the space. Time seemed to pause as she placed her trembling hands on the cool stone of the tomb. "Carlo," she whispered, "I am here for my daughter, Valeria. I need your help." The words echoed softly in the quiet sanctuary, her breath trembling with the gravity of her plea. She reached into her small backpack, pulling out a worn piece of paper, the letter she had written back in Costa Rica. It contained not only her pleas for Valeria's recovery, but also all of her fears and hopes, her motherly love pouring onto the pages. She unfolded the letter and laid it gently at the base of the tomb, tears pooling in her eyes as she whispered her personal appeal. "Please, Carlo, intercede for her. She deserves another chance at life." Liliana's heart was aflame with desperation. She remembered the doctor's grim prognosis, but she refused to succumb to despair. Instead, she poured her entire being into her prayer, imagining Valeria awakening, her bright smile returning, laughter filling their home once more. She envisioned her daughter surrounded by friends, exploring her passions and living the vibrant life she had always dreamed of. The vision strengthened her resolve as she placed her hands together and bowed her head deeply in prayer. Suddenly, a soft breeze swirled around her, whispering secrets as it danced through the chapel. Liliana raised her head as a sense of calm washed over her. Could it be a sign? Could Carlo be listening? She felt a flicker of hope igniting within her, urging her onward in these moments of quiet reflection. After lingering at the tomb for what felt like hours, Liliana reluctantly withdrew, feeling rejuvenated yet still anxious. With every step away from Carlo's resting place, she resolved to seek out others within the community. This was not simply her journey, it was a pilgrimage of faith she wished to share. As she wandered the cobbled streets of Assisi, the charm of the town enveloped her. Picturesque buildings adorned with vibrant flowers, nestled within their window frames, welcomed her. Soon, she found herself drawn to a little cafe, its outdoor seating bustling with fellow pilgrims who were sharing meals and moments of prayer. The warmth of the atmosphere wrapped around her like a comforting embrace. She approached a table where a small group was seated, their faces alight with laughter. "Excuse me," she said, her voice steady but laced with uncertainty. "Can I join you?" The group welcomed her with open arms, their kindness brightening the day. Liliana introduced herself, sharing the story of her daughter and her journey to Assisi. As she spoke, she noticed how the group's laughter shifted to sincere expressions of empathy. They listened intently as she described Valeria's struggles and her faith in miracles. One woman reached across the table, taking Liliana's hands. "You are not alone in this," she said, her voice filled with warmth. "We are all connected by our faith, and together we can lift your prayers to the heavens." The group gathered around her, forming a circle of support. Liliana felt tears prick at her eyes as she realized she had found not just allies, but a family that shared her hopes and dreams. They prayed together, their voices rising in harmony, a symphony of love directed towards Valeria. Days turned into weeks as Liliana immersed herself in the community, finding solace in their shared faith and stories of renewal. Each gathering filled her heart with light, the glow of hope growing stronger. The belief in miracles resonated in every conversation, weaving through the very fabric of their lives. Liliana would sit with them, swapping tales of challenges and victories, drawing strength from their collective resilience. But even amidst this newfound warmth, her heart ached with longing for Valeria. Each night, as Liliana lay in bed, the distance between her and her daughter felt profound. She would often dream of Valeria, sometimes laughing, sometimes crying, often caught in between. These dreams were both a balm for her soul and a reminder of the urgency of her mission. One night, as dawn broke over Assisi, Liliana awoke with a sense of clarity. She needed to make a more profound commitment to her pilgrimage. The next day, she made her way back to Carlo's tomb, clutching the rosary she'd purchased from the shop. She felt its weight in her pocket, reminder of the community supporting her. Upon arriving at the tomb, she lit a candle, watching the flame flicker as though it was alive, eager to carry her prayers to the heavens. Then she knelt down and grasped the rosary firmly, her heart swelling with faith. "Today, I am offering this rosary for Valeria," she spoke, the words launching into a vibrant plea. "Every bead represents a prayer. I hope Carlo hears my cries and knows how deeply I long for my daughter to pull through." With each bead she held between her fingers, Liliana imagined each prayer coiling around Valeria, amplifying her hope. In that moment, her faith transformed the weight of her worries into lightness, flooding her spirit with warmth. The rosary became a powerful tool of connection, not just to Carlo, but to all those who had come to trust in a miracle. As she knelt there with fervor, the sun began to set, casting a golden hue through the chapel. Liliana took a deep breath, feeling a sense of peace envelop her. She understood that this pilgrimage was not merely for herself, but for Valeria, and that power surged through her. Somewhere between Assisi and Costa Rica, she felt a thread of divine connection grow stronger, binding their hearts in love and faith. Each day thereafter, Liliana became more dedicated to her pilgrimage, returning to the tomb regularly, continuing to engage within the community, and finding new ways to cope with her worry. But she continued to draw strength from the stories around her. The layers of heartbreak and healing shared by other pilgrims reminded her that love, faith, and community were powerful forces that could move mountains. The bond she forged with those in Assisi deepened, and soon they began to include Valeria in their prayers, weaving her name into the fabric of their shared faith. On quiet evenings, they gathered in prayer circles, lighting candles and whispering promises of love and hope into the night. As weeks passed, the collective energy of the community centered on Valeria began to manifest back in Costa Rica. Eduardo clung to every update, every small change, nurturing a growing flame of hope. The nurses had reported that Valeria's responses were increasing, her body showing signs of life that had previously remained silent. The culmination of Liliana's pilgrimage drew near, but her heart was transformed. She felt empowered to share what she had learned with other mothers facing the unknown, becoming a voice for those needing encouragement. The morning she prepared to depart Assisi, she looked back at the tomb one last time, gratitude swelling in her heart. "Thank you, Carlo," she whispered, feeling a sense of completion. "For every prayer, for every moment, you've led me back to faith." With rosary in hand and a heart full of love, Liliana returned to Costa Rica, ready to face whatever lay ahead with a renewed sense of purpose. The journey had not only been a search for divine intervention, but a reclamation of faith, a journey transforming both her and Valeria in unexpected ways. And as each step brought her closer to home, Liliana was resolute, believing that miracles were possible when love led the way. The day dawned bright and hopeful in Costa Rica as Liliana's heart fluttered with anticipation. She had stepped back into the familiar rhythm of life, but everything felt different, charged with energy from her transformative pilgrimage to Assisi. As she drove towards the hospital, she felt her mind racing with questions. Would Valeria truly be ready to come home? How would they navigate the challenges that awaited them? Uncertainty clung to her like a shroud, but the memories from her journey, the warmth of shared faith, and Carlo's gentle intercession fueled her courage. Arriving at the hospital, she was greeted by the smell of antiseptic that reminded her of the past months spent racked with worry. Yet today it felt different, infused with hope. She pushed open the door to Valeria's room and entered with a smile that bloomed as she watched her daughter resting, the steady beeping of the machinery comforting her heart. "Good morning, sunshine," Liliana said softly, her voice barely above a whisper, as Valeria stirred, blinking her eyes open slowly. "Mom, is that you?" Valeria murmured, her voice fragile but sweet, a lifeline to Liliana's heart. "I thought you wouldn't be back until later. I came back early today. I wanted to make sure you were ready for your big adventure. Coming home," Liliana replied, holding Valeria's hand tightly, feeling the warmth pulsating from her touch. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, a genuine smile broke across Valeria's face. "I can't wait. It's going to be so nice to be at home again." The nurses entered and began to prepare Valeria for her discharge. With each moment there was laughter, and the air buzzed with a palpable energy as they packed her belongings. Eduardo arrived soon after and wrapped his arms around both Liliana and Valeria, forming a cherished family bundle that brought a sense of protection and wholeness. "Today is a big day," he announced, looking proudly at his daughter, whose eyes sparkled with the joy of possibility. "We're bringing you home." With everything set, they finally moved Valeria into a wheelchair, eager to begin their new life together. Liliana walked alongside her, while Eduardo pushed, excitement mingling with a hint of nervousness. Every corridor they traversed echoed with memories, the struggles, the prayers, and the love that had been their steadfast companion throughout this journey. Stepping out of the hospital doors was like stepping into a different world. Sunshine flooded Valeria's face, illuminating the path ahead. The three of them paused for a moment, relishing the warmth that surrounded them, grounding them in this new reality. As they drove home, laughter and chatter filled the car. Valeria pointed out the familiar sights, the towering trees, the bustling streets, the local shops they passed. Every detail faded in and out like distant memories. When they finally arrived home, the door opened to a burst of warmth. Liliana had spent the past days preparing the house, transforming Valeria's room into a sanctuary of joy. Colorful decorations, personal touches, and photographs lined the walls, each telling a story of love, resilience, and the power of family. "Wow!" Valeria exclaimed, her breath hitching in her throat as she took in the transformation. "You did all of this? Only for you, mi vida." Liliana beamed, her heart swelling with pride. Valeria turned to her parents, her gratitude spilling out in waves. "I'm so lucky to have you both," she said, emotion lacing her voice. As she settled into her new space, the family made it a point to create a routine that embraced Valeria's recovery. They transformed mundane activities into joyful ones, sharing meals, playing games, and reminiscing about the days before the accident. Each moment spent together was a reminder of how they had battled through the toughest times and emerged stronger, forged by the love they shared. The initial days at home had their challenges, especially as Valeria worked hard to regain her strength. Physical therapy sessions were incorporated into their daily lives, and Eduardo often joined in for encouragement. Liliana would sit beside her daughter, offering words of support, while becoming the cheerleader Valeria so desperately needed. "Just one more step, Valeria," she would say, beaming with encouragement. "You're making us so proud." Gradually, Valeria started to reclaim her life, her laughter echoing through the walls that had once felt so empty. With each small victory, standing up without assistance, taking a few steps unaided, her confidence bloomed like a flower breaking through the frost. One evening, as the sun began to set and the sky was painted with shades of purple and gold, the family gathered outside for a small celebration of Valeria's progress. Eduardo had prepared a small picnic, and they spread a blanket on the lawn beneath the shade of a large tree. As they sat there savoring homemade treats, Eduardo raised his glass, his voice steady, to Valeria and her incredible strength. "We're so proud of you." Toasting to her progress, Valeria felt a surge of joy, realizing how far she had come. She looked around at her family, the bittersweet memories of the past intertwined with the beauty of the present. "To love," she declared, the words bubbling forth with sincerity, "to family, and to the courage of every person who prayed for me." And as the stars began to twinkle in the clear night sky, they sat in the glow of those lights, reminiscing about those who had supported them throughout their journey. "Carlo Acutis," Valeria whispered, feeling the weight of gratitude in her heart. "His story and our faith carried us. I can't believe how blessed we are." Days turned into weeks, and the rhythm of their lives settled into a comforting routine filled with purpose. They walked through each day hand in hand, pushing through remnants of fear while embracing the vibrant beauty of life. With the help of physical therapy and unyielding support from her family, Valeria grew stronger, and each milestone marked a victory against the odds. But as they celebrated their successes, there were still challenges to face. With every advancement in Valeria's recovery, uncertainty lingered. How would she adapt to life beyond the walls they had shared? To help navigate this transition, the family sought the advice of physical therapists and specialists who integrated their knowledge to ensure a holistic approach to Valeria's journey forward. One quiet evening, Valeria opened up to her mother. "Mum, what if I can't go back to school? What if I won't be able to do all the things I used to love?" Liliana held her daughter close, wrapping her arms around her. "My love, you will find your way. This is just the beginning. Take your time and remember that we believe in you. You are more than your challenges." The reassurance calmed Valeria's fears, but as they navigated life's unpredictable waters, there remained one guiding light, their unwavering love for one another. As weeks passed, the busy household filled with laughter, joy, and the occasional hiccup of challenges. Valeria's progress continued to flourish as she and her parents learned to adapt to each step of the journey together. As she bravely faced new hurdles, a renewed sense of gratitude filled their days, a heartfelt reminder of the precious gift of life and the power of hope. One day, as Valeria confidently stepped outside, she was filled with anticipation for what lay ahead. She had friendships to rebuild, goals to pursue, and her mother's unwavering faith and Carlo's legacy to carry forward. With the wind at her back, Valeria made her way through each day with the strength of a warrior. Hand in hand with her family, they moved forward together into a future bright with promise, the embodiment of hope, faith, and love, threading them together against all odds. Each moment became a tapestry of incredible transformation, forever marking the story of Valeria Valverde, a testament to resilience, love, and miracles that blossomed through faith. As Valeria settled into her new routine, the days began to blend together in a delightful ebb and flow of progress. The challenges that once loomed large now felt more manageable, like waves that ebbed away from shore, leaving behind lessons of resilience. Each morning held promise, and Valeria took to heart the belief that life would unfold according to her own determination. One sunny day, as she laced up her sneakers to head out for a walk with her parents, she felt a familiar thrill of excitement. "Today we explore a new trail, right?" she asked, her voice bright with anticipation. "Absolutely. It's a beautiful one, right by the river," Eduardo replied, a smile spreading across his face. "I can't wait to see your face when you see all the flowers." "Plus, we're packing a picnic," Liliana chimed in, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "I made those yummy sandwiches you love with extra avocado." Valeria's stomach grumbled at the thought as she grabbed her hat. They were simple moments, but they were filled with joy, each small detail contributing to her healing journey. As they stepped outside, she felt the warm sun on her face and the gentle breeze against her skin. It felt liberating. The family embarked on their adventure, moving along the path that twisted through towering trees and vibrant blossoms. With every step, Valeria's heart brimmed with gratitude. Gratitude for the fresh air, for being able to walk, and for the unwavering support of her family. As they arrived at the riverbank, Valeria was in awe. The clear water sparkled in the sunlight, reflecting hues of blue and green that took her breath away. "This is beautiful," she exclaimed, stepping closer to the edge. Her gaze lingered on the way the sunlight danced atop the water, igniting a spark of inspiration within her. "Let's set up the picnic here," Liliana suggested, laying out the blanket while Valeria and Eduardo gathered the food to bring. As they sank into the grass to eat, laughter and stories wove through their conversations, filling the air with an infectious energy. After lunch, Eduardo offered a challenge. "How about we have a race back to the trailhead? Winner gets the last cookie." Valeria's competitive spirit flared up. "Oh, you're on!" she declared, excitement bubbling inside her. The three of them lined up, and with a count of 3, they took off, each step pushing Valeria further into the realization of her strength. With laughter echoing around her, she sprinted ahead, her heart pounding with exhilaration. The exhilaration of movement, of freedom, invigorated her soul. As the trail stretched before her, her fear dissipated, replaced with the joy of simply being alive. When they reached the finish line, Valeria's laughter echoed in the air. "I can't believe I won! I'm definitely getting that cookie." As they caught their breath, Eduardo laughed heartily, his face flushed with pride. "You've really come a long way, Valeria. Look at you." They returned home, their hearts light and spirits high, each moment reinforcing the loving bonds that had carried them through the heavier days. In those moments filled with laughter, adventure, and unity, Valeria recognized that hope was not just an abstract idea. It was the substance of every step they took together. As the days turned into weeks, Valeria diligently returned to school, embraced by her friends and educators alike. With renewed confidence, she transformed the classroom into a space of engagement, bringing her story forth with candor and strength. She shared her experiences, encouraging classmates to connect and support one another, fostering an environment of openness where dialogue was cherished. While the physical and emotional hurdles lingered, Valeria found herself buoyed by the support of a community that thrived on hope. She organized events to raise awareness about brain injuries and the importance of mental wellness, ensuring that her journey would leave a lasting impact beyond her own recovery. The culmination of her resolve manifested as Festival of Hope, an event dedicated to fostering understanding and compassion among her classmates. Together, they raised funds for organizations dedicated to helping families dealing with brain injuries, allowing Valeria to pour her heart into a cause that resonated deeply with her experiences. On the day of the festival, the school was transformed into a vibrant hub of excitement and connection. Booths filled with creative crafts, informational displays, and games lined the hall, and the atmosphere buzzed with energy. Valeria stood at the entrance, proudly welcoming friends and staff with open arms. "It's all coming together," she exclaimed to Sophia, who stood beside her, beaming with pride. "And we couldn't have done it without you," Sophia responded, her tone filled with admiration. As the festival unfolded, Valeria moved gracefully from booth to booth, engaging with her peers and sharing her story. Her friends wore T-shirts emblazoned with catchy phrases like "Hope in Action" and "Together We Rise," creating an atmosphere rich with support and encouragement. As the day progressed, Valeria took the stage to address the gathered crowd. "Thank you all for being here today," she started, her voice steady and resonant. "This event isn't just a fundraiser, it's a celebration of community, resilience and understanding. I've learned that every challenge is a chance to connect, to support one another, and to grow." Cheers erupted from the crowd, energizing Valeria to continue. "When I was in the hospital, it was the love of my family and friends, the prayers, and the caring voices in my community that kept me going. Remember, whether it's big or small, our support can change lives." As she spoke, tears glistened in her eyes, a sweetness of triumph saturating her heart. She felt a profound sense of purpose, knowing that her journey had the potential to inspire others to embrace their own struggles with courage and determination. The festival concluded with a raucous auction and raffle, each ticket pulling in additional funds, fueling the cause that brought everyone together. Valeria's heart swelled with gratitude and joy as she witnessed her community unite for a meaningful purpose, a testament to the healing power of hope and connection. As the sun set, casting a vibrant glow over the school grounds, she stood surrounded by friends and family, each face shining with pride. That moment felt surreal, a pinnacle of her journey thus far, symbolizing the miracles that had blossomed through the power of love and faith. "I did it," she whispered, overwhelmed with emotion. Turning to her parents, Valeria's voice quivered. "We did it. Together as a family entwined in hope, they held on to the promise of each new chapter. The journey had tested them, reshaped them, and filled them with unwavering belief in the power of miracles. Hand in hand, they looked toward a promising future, knowing they were ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. Upon that foundation of faith, they would continue to rise and inspire those around them to do the same. In the weeks that followed the festival, Valeria channeled her newfound purpose into the advocacy work she had begun. Every day presented fresh opportunities to connect with her community and share her story. But it also came with challenges that tested her resilience. The weight of these responsibilities filled her with exhilaration, even as she grappled with the lingering shadows of doubt. "Mom, what if I'm not doing enough?" Valeria confessed one evening as she sat cross-legged on the couch, her laptop open and half-written drafts scattered around her. What if my story isn't strong enough to make a difference? Liliana, seated beside her, placed a reassuring hand on Valeria's shoulder. Your story is powerful, Valeria. It's yours, and it has already made a difference. Remember that even one person touched can create waves. You're already inspiring so many. As Valeria pondered her mother's words, she realized that her journey was not just about her recovery. It was about creating a platform for others to find their voices, just as she had. Motivated, she resumed typing, pouring her feelings and thoughts onto the page. With each keystroke, she felt lighter, as if she were weaving the threads of her experiences into a tapestry that could provide warmth and strength to others. After months of dedication and hard work, the launch of her mentorship program was just around the corner. Valeria busily arranged the details, ensuring that everything would be ready for the participants who were eagerly awaiting the chance to navigate their own journeys alongside her. On the day of the event, the atmosphere buzzed with anticipation. The community center had been decorated with colorful banners and encouraging phrases. Valeria stood at the entrance, her heart pounding, as the first participants began to arrive. Introducing herself to the group, she realized how far she had come. No longer just a student seeking support, but now a mentor ready to lead. Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited to have you here. This is a safe space for all of us to share our journeys, our struggles, and our victories, she said, her voice filled with warmth. Together, we will learn from one another and grow stronger together. As the evening progressed, Valeria listened attentively to the stories shared within the group. Each individual had faced their unique battles, and as they communicated their feelings, Valeria felt an overwhelming sense of solidarity. Strangers transformed into companions, united by their shared experiences and the desire to support each other. In a particularly poignant moment, a shy girl named Miranda, who had sat quietly for most of the session, finally found her voice. "I feel lost," she said, tears pooling in her eyes. "I don't know how to start healing or if I even can. Sometimes it just feels too hard." Valeria leaned forward, offering her own vulnerabilities as she replied, "I felt the same way, Miranda. There were times I thought I would never find my way again. But I promise you that by sharing your story, you've taken a brave step. Healing isn't about perfection. It's about progress and finding support in each other." Encouraged by Valeria's words, whispers of agreement rippled through the group. Their shared sense of understanding bonded them, fostering an atmosphere of empathy. As the evening drew to a close, participants exchanged contact information and promised to remain connected, eager to support one another even outside the safety of the gatherings. Valeria watched with pride, witnessing the seeds of hope bloom before her eyes. Back at home, she shared the evening's successes with her parents, recounting the stories that had touched her heart. "I realize that we're all in this together. Every individual has a unique journey, and by sharing our stories, we can uplift each other." Eduardo hugged her tightly. "This is just the beginning, Valeria. You have so much to give, and you're already making a difference." Buoyed by the evening's success, Valeria felt a rush of determination. She would take her mentorship program further, expanding it into local schools and community centers. Each day brought new opportunities, new stories, and new lives to touch. As she prepared speeches and materials, Valeria reflected on her journey. She understood that her life's purpose had shifted. No longer was it solely focused on her recovery. It was intertwined with helping others navigate their own challenges, fostering a community that celebrated growth and resilience. Ultimately, it was the love and faith she had received during her darkest moments that ignited her passion and commitment to advocate for others. With the unwavering support of her family, Valeria felt unstoppable. She was not just a survivor, she was a warrior ready to fight for hope and change, not only for herself, but for everyone searching for the light in their own battles. Together with each passing day, Valeria continued to rise, intertwining her story with those of others, crafting a future where strength thrived in unity, where hope flourished through shared experiences, and where miracles blossomed brightly against adversity's challenges. With her parents' love wrapping around her like a warm embrace, she knew they would face every challenge that lay ahead as a family, ready to inspire, uplift, and love fiercely. What did you think of this story? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Click the video on the left to hear another story.